Welcome to the Fanduel First Look Show. Going live a little bit early, trying to get this thing knocked out. I've been playing with DK earlier today, this morning, and my goodness, the running backs suck. This is a weird week. Weird week to try to play games. That's for sure. It's going to be an uncomfortable spend week. There was no value, well, very limited value on DK, but there's not exactly a ton of great options to spend up for. So we'll see what we got on FanDuel today. Let's start out with Pitt taking on FSU. Got a 57.5 over under on this one, 34 for Florida State, 23.5 for Pitt. Mason Heinschel, now the starting quarterback over Eli Holstein. 8,500 is palatable salary for the youngster. That's for sure. So he came out and just absolutely blitzed BC. Can he do that here? I doubt it. Not at Florida State. First road start for the youngster. 10-8 on Castellanos. That seems reasonable given his rushing capability. I wonder how Pitt is going to do holding up against the run. I'm going to look into their advanced metrics actually after I finish this show, because I do want to know what Pitt's advanced numbers kind of look like in the games they've played so far. Granted, let's see. They played BC last week, but they routed BC. So BC's like Turbo Richard probably didn't run at all. I know Isaac Brown was banged up in that Louisville game. West Virginia, maybe I'll get an idea off of what Ty Edwards did. And then Central Michigan and Duquesne, you're not going to learn anything. So I'll have to look at West Virginia. Maybe I get some of an idea of what we could expect there. But Castellanos right now, that kind of looks okay. But given the relative size of the slate, it'll be interesting. Des Reed at 9K, no shot available that I'm going to play that. That's just not going to happen. Not in this spot. 8,100 on Sawchuk. Maybe, but the volume's just not quite to the extent that I would like. But maybe. But I doubt it. I would probably prefer Chroma at 54. But even then, neither one of them's getting enough touchdowns for me to consider. I'm probably not considering any other Pitt backs if Desmond Reed wasn't healthy, but Reed I would consider on DK at 5K because of his pass catching upside, but at 9K on FanDuel, that's going to be a no. As Randy Jackson used to say, that's going to be a no for me, dog. Rafi Williams, I would much prefer to play Kenny Johnson at 63 over Raphael Williams at 82. Deuce has to be in play at 81. If you're in that mid-range, but he's about the only guy that I would play. So Kenny Johnson, Deuce, probably have interest there. Let's take a look at Bama at Missouri, 52.5 on that one. 28 for Alabama, 24.5 for Missouri. What's the quarterback pricing? Ty Simpson up at 12K. That is hefty. I don't know that I get there at Missouri. Now, Pribula, I'm interested in this price. 8,400 on Pribula. He's got rushing. I like the rushing floor. I think his ceiling passing is higher than it could be. Bama's defense does not scare me at all. Pavia put up a decent number. We were willing to play Pavia at, 10-7 last week. Did it pay off? No. But Pribula at 2K cheaper, very similar player. So I'm interested in Pribula at 84. He's up there for me. Ahmad Hardy, I'm going to be interested in at 8.8. Just an absolute workhorse in this offense. 20-plus carries in every game. Does not catch passes, so that does limit his floor. But 8,800 is a fair price tag. Probably out on Jam Miller at 93. That's just a little more than I want to pay. Ryan Williams, I'll be in at 89. I'm fine with that. Horton, I'd be okay with at 73. Coleman at 83 is meh. I don't think you're going to have to pair Pribula. Norfleet, I'm okay with taking shots on as a touchdown play at 57. He's a decent option from that standpoint. He's got some minimal upside in more of those tighter games. Marquise Johnson's going to be on the field. So is Josh Manning, but I don't think you're going to need to get there more than likely. Let's see. Ohio State at Illinois, 50.5 over under, 32.5 on Ohio State, 18 for the Fighting Illini. Julian Sands' price is getting closer to being playable to me. He doesn't have that rushing capability, so you're really just relying on a passing floor. I mean, these are games that he's going to have, but that's kind of where he ends, right, is 25 points. So how much do you really want to play a guy that you just kind of know, all right, his ceiling's going to be, if everything goes well, he throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, he's getting you 25 points as long as he doesn't take any sacks. Altmaier, I'd be out on. So, like, saying I would rather play his weapons, and even if you were playing, like, you could tell me I'm playing Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, and I would still tell you to play a mobile quarterback. I'd rather play, like, Pribula and play both of the weapons than play him. 7,700 on Bo Jackson. He's the only option out of the backs in this game. Maybe he stays in the pool. I still would like to see his workload go up a little bit more. 13 carries. We're just going to need to push for at least 15 to 18 touches each week. Jeremiah, I would play 100 times out of 100 over Carnell Tate. I know Tate outscored him, but the likelihood is that the price discrepancy is not enough to justify the difference. 11.2 is a discount compared to where we were last week, so Jeremiah is going to end up being very high in the pool. Hank Beatty is playing well, but he's more of a possession wide receiver. I know he had some big plays last week, but it was based more on the Purdue corners just kind of running into each other and falling down and generating big plays. I would prefer to pay 64 for Colin Dixon by contrast. He's had a similar floor, and he's been playing on the outside compared to the slot for Hank Beatty. So I like Colin Dixon a little bit more if I was going to play one of the wide receivers for the Illini. Max Claire's still getting good run. I think he's going to pop at some point. He seems to be getting more comfortable in building in this offense. I would say that he's worth shots here and there if you're going to take some down there at the bottom. Washington State going to take on Ole Miss. This is a spot where Ole Miss is going to kick the absolute snot out of them in the Grove. 46-point team total for Ole Miss, 12.5 for Washington State. Don't bother playing anybody from Washington State. It's not worth it. Trinidad Chambliss is going to be fully in play at 11.2. Your onslaughts of Ole Miss are going to be well worth the play this week. Chambliss has 300, 100 upside. We've seen it. So I would expect something in the, this is why you don't play like a Julian Sand or even like Ty Simpson by comparison to Chambliss. Chambliss is going to be a core play. I could tell that right now. He should have been 12.5 probably in this spot. They can get pricey. I think it was Johnny Manziel way back when was $14K at quarterback, and you still couldn't fade him. So Chambliss at this point, he's playing too well, and Washington State's not going to go to hang with him. So I think you just go in there. Kewan Lacey, probably an okay play at 10.2, but the ceiling's massive. The floor is also low enough that I wouldn't want to get there too much. I'd prefer to just play through Trinidad Chambliss. Harrison Wallace, he was hot to start the year and just died off. So that he could come back. I think you can play Chambliss naked. Don't play him with anybody. You don't have to pair him up, we'll say. Daquan Wright, meh. Deuce Alexander. Alexander's been playing pretty solid. He's got a good floor for a guy for 6,100. Is the ceiling there? I don't know. Like they're just got so many guys that I would prefer just throw Chambliss in as your super flex and then use other stacks around him. Red River, 42.5 in this one, 22.5 Texas, 20 for Oklahoma. Michael Hawkins checking in at 7,700. Reports that John Mateer will try to play. I would not play him no matter what. I would just wait. If he's super questionable, he has that brace on his thumb, I just wouldn't take the risk. It's not worth wasting the money. Even if I'm playing 50 entries, I'm not getting any Mateer. I would have liked Mateer if he was healthy. Arch, similarly, I'm out. Not going to touch it. I think this game feels very low scoring. If anything, and you want to cover your bases, I'd throw a game stack potentially in this one just in case it goes weird. But I think this is a defensive struggle through and through. Trey Wisner, I don't want to pay 8,400 for, even if Baxter's out. I just don't want to do it given the context of the game. Blaylock's not going to get enough touches. I just don't want to touch these backfields. The upside's just not there for me. Wide receiver wise, I think Satania is probably the best play in this game. I would prefer to play it through Deion Burks at 5,800 over Satania. Similarly, like I don't want to trust Wingo or Livingstone. If I was going somewhere, I'd go with Moore or injuries. But I think Burks has the most palatable price tag here at 5,800. Granted, hasn't exactly been great since that Michigan game. So if I was, I'm not. That's not a lock and load situation, but the price is right on Burks at 5,800, no doubt about it. Iowa State, my Cyclones taking on Colorado. 52.5 over under, 28 for Iowa State, 24.5 for Colorado. 10-4 for Rocco, probably a hair more than I'd like. He was great. He was a staple last week. He got a $1,000 price bump. The rushing isn't going to, I mean, he's just scoring so much touchdowns on the ground. But 10-4 is probably a hair more than I want. Like I said, it almost feels like I'm going to end up locking Chambliss so far. At 11.2, that price tag is very palatable. 9,200 on Salter, I don't think's bad. You need to keep an eye on Dominique Orange. Does he play? Obviously, we know the corners are out for Iowa State. You know, the rushing, we get the touchdown on the ground every week. It's always just kind of a question of how well does he throw it, given the relative context of the Iowa State backfield secondary not being able to have any guys healthy. I think we can lean into the fact that at 92, he should be playable and a safe avenue to get you to 20 points in this one. Carson Hansen, this is one we're going to have to keep an eye on. I think both sides, it's going to be important to keep the eye on it. Okay. He's questionable with a concussion at 78. I don't think he's playable, even if he does play. I think Abu Sama is fully in play if Carson Hansen's out, because at 6,500, he did get a ton of work last week with 18 carries, looked good with 96 yards, did not find the end zone. That is an issue, but I thought he looked much more spry than he had in previous years. I'm never going to touch a Colorado running back. I don't believe in them, so I'm just going to be out. They rotate them and they don't use them well. Omarion Miller, fully in play at 6,600. He seems to be the best wide receiver option for them. I'm kind of out on the Draylon Miller train. He's going to hurt me eventually again, but I'd rather just take the beating and let somebody else get him to beat me. I'm going to play Chase Soul. I'm going to keep going back to the well here. I love the Omarion Miller, Chase Soul options. Actually, if I was game stacking this, I probably don't even play Rocco. I probably play Salter with, if Hansen's out, I want to play Salter, Sama, Omarion, and Chase Soul as my game stack. That would let me do anything I wanted with like Trinidad Chambliss and some of the big players around them. So I would really appreciate that. Skildson, if you want to jump there, I think he's a good option. He's been playing as a good deep threat. He got a lot of his volume when Soul left the game, because reminder, Soul missed the first quarter of the Iowa State game last week. He got banged up on literally the first target of the game, landed awkwardly, kind of looked like he needed a concussion check, and they brought him back in the game in the second quarter. He missed the first quarter, still wound up with like 5 for 58 and a touchdown. So I don't hate that play. So I'll be in on Chase Soul for sure. I'm probably going to be overly exposed because I'm just buying into my priors, but whatever. And so, yeah, that's the simple of that one. TCU, Kansas State, good game stacking environment here. I think this is one that I'm going to have a good amount of pieces of. 55.5 on this game, 28.5 TCU, 27 Kansas State. Hoover at 11.8. There's not a lot of mobility here. He's been cashing a rushing touchdown every once in a while, like the last couple weeks, but the rushing upside's not there. Now he can throw for 5 very easily, and Kansas State's not exactly the best defense. Avery Johnson feels like a steal at 9,800, and that's usually famous last words. Why does Fanduel hate everything and not want to load? Anyway, he's rushed for like 72 yards each of the last 2 games, multiple rushing touchdowns. He's got 300-ish yards passing in each game. So he's starting to look a lot more comfortable. I guess they knocked the rust off when their dad and his brother got in a fight in Dublin. I think 98 is a great price tag. He's clearly one of the top 2 options of the games we've seen so far. Trinidad Chambliss, Avery Johnson, 2 great options, both very mobile. There's going to be points scored in this game, so it's a good way to play it. I'm probably out on Dylan Edwards, even at 9,100. I just don't think he's playing that well. Kavorian Barnes, no thank you at 7,900. I'm out on both of them. 10-5 is just too much to pay for Eric McAllister. I understand how well he's playing, and he caught 2 touchdowns last week. He caught 3 touchdowns that game. That was a great game. We enjoyed that one a lot. Personally, I'd rather just pay for Jeremiah Smith at 700 more because I know I'm getting 20 points. I don't know what I'm getting out of Eric McAllister. Can Eric McAllister bury me with 48? Yes. But I just prefer to play Jeremiah and just take my 20 and then guarantee lock it up. Jace Brown, probably a hair expensive at 9,500, but I understand why he's there. So he's got massive upside, but he's going to hit a big play here and there. He might end up in the pool, but he's not. He's like a fringe guy. He's like a game stack guy. I don't love pairing him up. Dwyer's playing absolutely awful, so I'll play Manjack 9 out of 10 times over Dwyer. I don't mind that as a stack there. Manjack and Hoover. Tibbs is actually playing pretty good at 62. He's getting a good target volume, and Oakley is a good threat to score a touchdown. So if you really want to go some weird ways, I think Oakley paired with Avery Johnson is a very nice way to play to get off of the Jace Brown aspect of it. And it's also a good way to get off of the Tibbs aspect. Tibbs has played very well. He's got a ton of targets lately. But he hasn't been scoring a ton. So I think Oakley, Tibbs are perfectly good pivots off of Jace Brown. Jace Brown can go missing. He can go on that milk carton every once in a while, that's for sure. All right, Indiana taking on Oregon, one of the better games of the day, a game I'm looking forward to watching, but not necessarily a game that's great for fantasy. Could be, but I doubt it. Just depends. 10-6 on Dante Moore. It's fair. 10 on Mendoza, also fair. Both have mobility. Both are efficient passers. They get the ball to their weapons. It's fair pricing. I do wonder how much this game shoots out. Like, can there be a shootout in this one? Oregon, we know, rotates the heck out of their running backs. Deere Hill's probably my favorite of the bunch. I'm buying into him, but I'm buying him more on DK. But 5,800, I'm going to keep him in my pool. He does not project great. I ran projections on DK last night. He does not project very well, but I'm buying the player, not the but the role is weird. Like, they're just all playing together. Him being black are going to split work. I'm still worried about Kobe Martin coming in. I'm just out on that backfield completely in this one. Like I said, this is a bad running back slate. It's either high-priced guys that I don't think should be high-priced, or like specifically on DK, or split backfields that you're trying to parse through. So it's a tough one. Elijah Surratt, I'm always going to side with over Omar Cooper. That's just personal preference. Decorian Moore, I like, but I like him a lot more at DK pricing. 8K though, I'm in, but I'm not jumping into the pool. I like Sadiq at 58. He's listed as questionable. I don't think he's questionable. I think he's playing. He missed, we had the week off last week. He came back for OT. I'm not too worried about him. Love Gary Bryant's price on DK, but that's too much for me. I'd rather play Decorian Moore for 1,100 more, or pay down for Sadiq for 1,100 less if I was going to do either of those. NC State taking on Notre Dame. Also a interesting game to try to play through. CJ Carr, I was thinking about this today when I went out for my cardio this morning. I think specifically on DK, I think I'd rather play both wide receivers. This is very similar take to Julian saying. I'd rather play both wide receivers for CJ Carr and play like Haynes King. This is using DraftKings pricing because they're close on there. I think it's $9,499K. I think I'd rather play another player that's mobile and play both of his wide receivers to get all of his production than to play him. Like, he just does not have the upside. It's very similar to Julian saying. I just would rather play both wide receivers or a running back and a wide receiver than play CJ Carr. CJ Bailey, I'm a fan of, but Will Wilson over here has been stealing touchdowns in the goal line. So I'm not going to be there at 8,100, not on the road. I think they're going to be trailing, though. 13K for Jeremiah Love. This might be the week that I end up getting off and fading the Jeremiah Love train. Even though, on DK, I think I'm going to end up putting a lot of him in. This might be a spot, though, on FanDuel that I'm going to probably be a lot more timid and not necessarily want to play Jeremiah Love because I'm going to legitimately need a 3 to 4 touchdown game to get where I want to be in order for this to pay off. So that's, man, I don't know that I want to pay 13K. That's a lot, and there's a lot of good plays. I'm not paying 9,400 for Jadarian Price. I'll let him beat me. Hollywood Smothers, I'm concerned with in this spot. He's losing red zone work as well. Yes, he's the bell cow as far as in between the 20s. I just worry about the red zone role and the touchdown equity. Can he break off runs against this defense? I don't know. Faison and Fields are probably priced up a little more than I would like. I'm going to end up with some Notre Dame with like a Fields and Love pairing or, mixing and matching some guys in there. I prefer Fields. I'm more of a Fields guy than I am a Faison guy. And then I just can't predict this NC State receiving game. It is unpredictable. It is very difficult to figure out. So I just would prefer to avoid it. It's very tough to figure out. It's been weird guys. It'll be a guy that's on like an 11% route share, and he'll catch 5 balls on 11 route, 8 routes. So I don't even bother to try to predict it. Florida taking on Texas A&M, 47.5 over under, 27.5 A&M, 20 for Florida. Lagway at 7,800. Man, he actually played pretty good last week. I'm probably out on Marcel Reed at 11.6. This is a decent defense for Florida. This defense for A&M is playing really well too. So I doubt I would touch Lagway at that pricing. There was a better options earlier. I think Reed, like I said, Chambliss, I'm just going to end up plugging and playing Chambliss over Reed. I just, it's going to be hard to get off of Chambliss. Moss is going to be a decision point. Does he play? How limited is he? If he's limited at all, give me Reuben Owens at 6,300. That is a fabulous price tag, and he looked amazing against Mississippi State last week. He did not score, but he was explosive. He looked every bit of the 5-star recruit that he was, #1 running back in the country. Like that price tag. I'll be way in on that one, especially if we get anything saying that Moss is questionable, limited, anything like that. Jaden Baugh is a fantastic player. I don't mind that play. He's going to get all the work he can handle, specifically if Jacoby Jackson's out. He rushed for 100 yards on Texas. I think he could rush for 100 yards on A&M. He's one of the better players. I do like Baugh in this spot. Mario Craver still priced up a little bit. Concepcion, they're tough to pick between. I don't really like stacking them both together. They do play well together. They get 90% of the targets. It's just, how good are Marcel Reed targets? That's a question. Dallas Wilson looked unreal last week, considering it was his first game. 6 catches on 7 targets for 2 touchdowns. There was some lapses in that Texas coverage, but I wish the price tag was lower. That's what I'll say with that. I wish the price tag was lower. What did Vernell Brown get last week? 3 targets. I still think Vernell Brown's a decent player. 54, maybe I could convince myself. Maybe. This game has game stack of the week written all over it. Kansas at 23-point team total, 59.5 over under in this sucker. Texas Tech, 36.5-point team total. I like this game. I think worst case scenario, Texas Tech's going to score a ton of points. Best case scenario, Kansas makes them score more. 8,800 on Bayron Morton is an absolute steal. That's a steal. So I'll tell you right now, Trinidad Chambliss, Bayron Morton, that's going to be a popular combo in this house. Because I am a Bayron Morton fan. Actually, I think I put him as the cover boy on this video. That was more so. I didn't know what the price was. I just said, oh, I'm going to put Bayron Morton in, Maybe if I'm lucky, I get Makai Lemon behind me. Is Makai Lemon 6K? Like, great. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I'm going to play a ton of Bayron. He's playing too well. This Kansas defense is not very good. Jalen Daniels, I'm probably underweight on. I'm not going to want to play a lot of him outside of game stacks because 10-2 is too much against this defense. I've been a noted believer in this Texas Tech defense. I think Bayron is a fabulous play at 8,800, though. And the only way he goes wrong is if Jacoby Williams and Cameron Dickey absolutely explode. I think you'll want a little bit of exposure here. I'm not going to be in on LaShawn Williams at 8,300. We've seen a couple weeks ago against Cincinnati, they refused to give him the football. They just put it in Jalen Daniels' hands and say, go win us the game. I would prefer to play it through Daniels. I think people will be on Williams because of the 3-touchdown game last week. I'll be out. 10 for 64. That was a game where he was highly efficient against Cincinnati, and they just refused to give him the ball in the red zone. This is going to be a more competitive matchup. I think you see Daniels go more Superman aspect. Now, I don't think he can do what he did against Cincinnati. This is a very good defense. I think we're more in the Missouri range here because this is a similar defense to Missouri, probably right around even, maybe slightly better than Missouri. 223-2 with 17 on the ground and 23 points. I think that's where he kind of lands, is that mid to low 20s. So I'm going to prefer to play Bayron. I think Bayron's more in the, I think he can be in a similar spot, just 1,400 cheaper. Coy Eakin should never, ever be the highest priced wide receiver for Texas Tech. Now, will I play some of him? Yes, because you're going to need to. Caleb Douglas got the price boost on DK because I looked at the late slate earlier. He didn't on Fanduel, though, and he still hadn't really been a touchdown threat. Now, last week I called this, and he went 7 for 114. Just didn't cash that touchdown to get me over the 20-point mark. I'll play him again a lot at 6K because he's on the field more than any other wide receiver. Him, Reggie Virgil, him, and Coy Eakin. Great stack partners with Bayron Morton. Also, I would play Jacoby Williams with Bayron. Before I would play Cameron Dickey. If you're going to play a running back with Bayron, you need to play Jacoby Williams. I think it is a viable option to go Bayron, Jacoby Williams, and Caleb Douglas. That gives you your salary savings to be able to go up and get Jacoby Williams. Emmanuel Henderson's a fabulous bring back. He would be the top option as the bring back. He's the best wide receiver for them. And I would probably stay away from the other guys. I'm just not a super believer. I don't know what Cam Pickett's been up to. 5 catches, 64 yards. Maybe you could take shots on Pickett. That's a more tough. Levi Wentz has been playing recently as well. 3 targets. Don't love that. Yeah, he's more catching touchdowns. I don't want to buy into that lower pass volume For sure. All right. Michigan taking on USC. I think this is a decision point game, probably 57.5 total, 30 points for USC, 27.5 Michigan. What to make of this Michigan offense? Now, very simply, I would say Underwood should be in play because of the rushing. Can he throw the ball well? Man, I do kind of want to think that Underwood's a decent play this week, actually. I didn't want to, but 8K, I'm kind of in. I'm not saying he's a core play, but I'm saying I would play him in game stacks. And I might mix and match him a little bit. Jaden Maeva is always in play for me. Everybody knows that he's one of my guys. Rocco, Maeva, Bayron. Those are kind of my quarterbacks. Justice Haynes has to be in play. He gets away with it every week. I kept saying he can't keep getting away with it. He's just kind of a 20-point machine. I think he is a better play than Jeremiah Love because he's got similar consistency and he's good. Like, yes, Jeremiah Love has a higher ceiling, but Haynes has a really high floor. So I'll take Haynes as my preference play there. Wayman Jordan is a great player at 9,200 against the Michigan defense. It feels like a slight stretch. I'd prefer to lean towards the Maeva side here. See, they did price Lemon up. Yeah, Lemon deserves to be at this price tag. Jacoby Lane on DraftKings is an absolute joke of a price. So play him there. But even here, I think 7,200, you can play him. All the targets go to these two. So that's who you want. If you're stacking Maeva, you stack him with one of those two. It's no doubt about it. I would say McCulley is probably my preferred stack partner with Underwood. But I don't really think you need to stack him. I think you kind of just play him by himself potentially. That would be my guess. Realistically, the best stack I would want to make from this thing is Maeva, Lemon, and Haynes in a trio. And you're just paying, that's all your high-priced guys. And then you pay some cheap guys around it. All right, Georgia taking on Auburn on the Plains. We got a 45.5 over under in this one, 24.5 Georgia, 21 for Auburn. I'm not playing Jackson Arnold. I'm open to Gunnar Stockton at 9,400, but I'm not sure how long I'm going to be open to that because, like I said, I'd rather play Bayron at 88. So I don't know. He's got rushing upside. This game feels nasty. Just feels bad. Chauncey Bowens at 7,600. He's just in such a committee at this point. There's so many guys getting touches. I'm on record as saying I don't like the Auburn backs. I'm going to be out there. Zach Branch at 68. Man, I'd rather go Cam Coleman. I think Coleman and Singleton are interesting. I'm a Cam Coleman believer. I buy into the fact that I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the country. They just need to get him the football. So I probably end up on some Coleman because I'm incapable of not. And hopefully they can find him somehow. Singleton, I think, is in play, but his ceiling is tied to how many touchdowns can he score. The floor is there. He's going to get you 8 to 10 points. It's just, is the touchdowns ever, can he break one for a touchdown? You know? But if you look at like Coleman's more got that big play upside. Like the ceiling's Coleman's, the floor Singleton. And I do like this price tag on Colby Young. So if I'm stacking Stockton, that would have been a very easy spot to say stocking. I would put Colby Young with Gunner, and then bring it back with Coleman if I was playing it that way. All right, snooze fest of the week to finish this thing out. South Carolina at LSU, 43.5 total, 26 for LSU, 17.5 South Carolina. This has snooze fest written all over it. And there's a reason that these guys are priced the way they are. Garrett Nussmeier is 8,200 on Fanduel. Lenora Sellers, 7,900. And I still don't want to play either one of them. Those prices are insanely low. Like, here's what I'll tell you: pricing on FanDuel typically, your pricing should be way more expensive per player than it is on DK. I've seen seller's price or Nussmeier's price on DK. He is 8,700. He's 500 less on FanDuel, and I still don't want to consider him at all. I think this game is absolutely terrible. Maybe you want to consider Sellers on the off chance that he finds a way to run, that like he gets 80 yards rush. But I mean, what is he going to get you? He's not even going to get you 2x. He's got to find the end zone. His passing has been terrible. Like it just, he's not running the football well. I said it coming into the year, and I think I had some nasty comments on the video, but I don't think there was any weapons around Sellers to make Sellers successful. And their defense isn't great either. But Nussmeier's playing horrible too. And I'm going to have to see that before I can believe it. Like, Caden Durham's been banged up. I'm out there. He's the only running back they have, though. Rasul Faison's playing like terrible. Oscar Attaway was the guy early in the season. He's terrible. Like, we're talking about some G5 guys, man. This is a North Texas running back who transferred, a Utah State running back who transferred. Neither one of them were super productive at those places. They weren't stars. It's not like we're talking about Ashton Genty or Ahmad Hardy. You know, like we're talking about guys that were mid-level G5 running backs like Sia Bangura. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. Jacobs is priced too cheap on DK. He might end up being the value option of the slate, but at the same time, the corners for LSU are good. And do we really think Sellers? I think Sellers is going to have a nightmare problem with Harold Perkins in this one. I'm not paying 7,700 for Jacobs. I don't love any of the LSU wide receivers. They have not played well. Maybe like Xavier Thomas, this isn't a bad price tag on him, given how much rushing and receiving. Like, he has a good touch equity. Kind of looks like Aaron Anderson from a year ago at 6,100 is not bad. I think there's options to be able to play some of these wide receivers on this team. It's just, what is the upside here? You know, like I would have been salivating at Nick Harbor at 5,500 coming into the season, but not now. Tradez, I don't think you can buy. I'm not playing. Chris Hilton is never in play until the bowl game. When you get to the bowl game, you can play him. But I mean, that's the thing, is like they're rotating in. Like Nick Anderson's on the field, but is he gonna, like, how many catches does he get? Who's going to catch the touchdown? So I'm not paying 71 or 69. I have open to 61 on Xavier Thomas, but that's it. So I think we're kind of looking at, I think Bama Mizzou is a fun game stack. Realistically, I want TCU Kansas State, I want Michigan USC, and I want Kansas State Texas Tech. And then I really want to load up on Ole Miss. I after looking at this, I don't know how I don't end up with a whole lot of Trinidad Chambliss at 11-2, and I don't think you have to pair him with anybody. I think you just slap Chambliss in as your super flex, basically, and just say, thank you for my 30 points. I don't really care what happens around him. I mean, I'm going to have a lot of Chambliss. I will say that's looking like a lot. He's going to be paired with each of these options. I think you're going to have a Texas. Yeah, I think Texas Tech and Chambliss is my favorites, with TCU being in there. Kansas State, very good option as well. I think you're going to be able to fit some of those. That's where you're going to be able to fit Jeremiah Love on some of that, is if you do the, like, let's see, you do like Avery Johnson and Baterin. You throw in Caleb Douglas. I don't think, let's just not even bring it back. Let's just do it this way. It's easy to fit. Hell yeah, I bet you could fit both of these guys. Yeah, and then you got 5,800 for wide receivers. I don't even remember who the cheap wide receivers were, but there's plenty outside of those guys. Let's see. Nobody on them. Where's Deuce? Deuce Robinson, 81. No, not there. Colin Dixon, I don't hate, don't love. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. You got Dion Burks. You could go Dion Burks, DeAndre Moore, stack in there. Oh, Soul's 59. So let's go Soul. And let's see. You got DeAndre Moore. Colby Young would be a good one right there. Yeah, let's just do that. So like that's easy. Yeah, you can get the top 2 running backs with these wide receivers and these 2 quarterbacks, which are great quarterback plays. They're 2 top 5 quarterback plays. So very easy slate to build on, and that's even fitting Jeremiah Love's absurd price in here. So they left plenty of meat on the bone, I will say. And then there's plenty of good running backs. I would probably say you're out on Lacey, out on Moss. Jacoby Williams in play. Yeah. So we kind of went through all these guys. There's plays in these 7K range at running back that are more uncomfortable. But then there's also plenty of cheap guys too, especially if like the Abu Sama news pops open, and De'Aaron Hill could be interesting. So there's a lot of optionality at these spots, but I think you're going to want to get some safe points, no doubt about it. There's plenty of bell cows up in this spot. So I will be back tomorrow with the player pool on DraftKings. I am going to work through that now and get all that set up for you guys. I'm going to admit that I'm going to have a lot of double stacks and game stacks and just shoot from the hip, because I'll be honest, I hate the run. This might be a 3 running back slate or a 2 running back slate for me on DK. I hate the running backs. This is a bad week of fantasy producers, like guaranteed fantasy volume, I'll say. So I'm gonna work through that. I kind of makes me nauseous even looking at it right now, but I'm gonna work through it and try to come up with a reasonable plan here, so I can try to get you guys to win something. Bad week for me to feel uncomfortable considering the 100K up top this week. So we'll see what happens. I will see you guys tomorrow, and then we will have Fanduel on Friday for the player pool. I'm going to run projections for Fanduel actually as well for the time being. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a good one.